Well, here are some of the pictures that you've sent in to our eyewitness portal. Let's begin with the picture from Bariga here in Lagos State. It shows a waterlogged street at Ilaje. Our eyewitness reporter appeals to the authorities to fix the road as it's making life difficult for the people of the area. While the next picture shows corps members destroying sachet water collected from child hawkers at a market in Enugu during school hours. The corps members insisted that they go back to school. And finally is this picture of an INEC training center on Abakaliki Street, Enugu State. Our eyewitness reporter says youth corps members trooped out in their numbers to attend the training session under the scorching sun. Well, thank you so much for sending in all your pictures. We move on now. The Nigerian Navy appears to be sending a note of warning to instigators of violence as the nation prepares for the elections. Well, this was the core of the message from the force while taking delivery of a new vessel, NNS Centenary.
The growing security threat in parts of the country has left in its wake tons of destruction and death. And the seeming inability of the Nigerian military to contain it has left the citizens asking several questions, especially now that the elections are around the corner. However, the question on how well the military is preparing to restore the faith of the citizens in its ability to deliver on its assignment seems to be getting some attention as the Nigerian Navy takes delivery of its first offshore vessel, NNS Centenary.
The arrival of NNS Centenary in Nigeria bears testimony to the commitment and resolve of Mr. President to emplace a strong and virile navy capable of protecting Nigeria's maritime interests against all forms of threats.
Besides military hardware acquisition, the Western and training commands of the Navy have also recently embarked on a road walk to showcase the strength and fitness level of its men in preparation for any challenge. The walk begins at the naval base in Apapa, sees the officers and men parading some major streets with stopovers at Costain, Alaka, National Stadium in Surulere, Ojuelegba, and then back to base. The FOC Nigerian Navy Training Command, Rear Admiral Babalola Igbedino, speaks on the significance of the march and preparation towards the election.
The aim of this is to ensure that we physically are available to match the sophisticated equipments that have been acquired for the Nigerian Navy. It is important to note that as men in the armed forces in uniform, it is their sole training to direct their effort against the enemy. This enemy, sometimes we found pockets of them internally. If they do exist, I think they should go look for some other place to function.
There is no gainsaying the fact that Nigerians would be delighted to have in place a force that can restore sanity in the face of growing insurgency. And this appears to be a step in the right direction. Chris Illems, Channels Television News.
Now, eligible voters are still having a hard time getting their permanent voters' cards in Ogun State, southwest Nigeria, and Abia in the east. The anxious electorate say the collection process is slow and cumbersome.
This is a scenario at some PVC collection centers. Voters are willing to collect their cards, but the distribution process is worrisome. This center is in Abeokuta, Ogun State, and just one man is attending to this crowd.
They don't employ much workers for them to distribute our card. Even so, the best way for this card is maybe if they can reverse back to the polling booth that will do our permanent voters card. So it will be very easy for us there to collect our card.
The voters' enthusiasm is also recorded here at the Umuahia North Collection Center in Abia State. Yet again, they have to stay long hours on queues to be attended to. Perhaps a reason why some are yet to visit the PVC collection points.
We're here for 1,000,001 times. Nobody attending to us.
The resident electoral commissioner in Abia State, however, insists that INEC is making efforts to ensure that all the cards are distributed.
We are still battling to give everybody his card before that day of election. They should still make effort. As I said, I came back yesterday and I will monitor and see and then start going around. So we are still announcing and pleading that people should come out and take their card.
According to Mrs. Soko, the names of voters yet to get their PVCs will be compiled and published.
Now, as politicians are now working to re-strategize following the rescheduling of the 2015 elections, the umpire is also adjusting its calendar. The latest adjustment is the extension of the deadline for collection of permanent voters' cards for registered voters. INEC has now extended the time for 4 more weeks until March the 8th, 2015. The earlier deadline set by the Commission elapsed yesterday, February the 8th. But with this development, it's hoped that over 20 million PVCs uncollected will be distributed. The Commission, in the recent figures released, says it's so far distributed over 45 million PVCs out of over 68 million registered voters. The figure now brings the collection rate to 67.64%. Well, the 2015 elections may now be 6 weeks away, but preparations are continuing, and a strong message has been sent out today to supporters of the 2 major governorship candidates in Lagos about any form of electoral violence. The candidate of the APC, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, and the PDP's Jimmy Agbaje today took a peace pledge at an electoral security roundtable convened by the United States Embassy to Nigeria. At the roundtable meeting, Mr. Ambode and Mr. Agbaje signed and agreed to ask their supporters to avoid violent actions as they go about their campaigns. They were also asked to accept the results.
Thank you very much.
We're committed to it. It's more about Lagos. It's not really about our candidacy, and that's the message the 2 candidates are trying to send out. It's more about the future of Lagos. So at any point in time, you're going into a contest. It's either you win or you concede. So at that appropriate time, you do the right thing.
You can't claim to love Lagos and see it burn. Then it means that you haven't been honest with yourself. And it's important that even if you feel cheated or whatever, the solution is not violence. And that's why the pledge does say that there is recourse in law to go and run the process. Now, if that process does not give you victory, then, the whole essence of being civilized citizens is that you accept that process. You don't have to agree, but you take it and you let things run.
Staying with the polls now, the Edo State Governor and former President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Adams Oshomole, has asked Nigerian workers to resist any further shift of the general election from March the 28th. Addressing workers at the 11th Delegates Conference in Abuja, Governor Oshomole said that the 6 weeks delay would not affect the desired change in the nation's development. Our correspondent Gloria Umezuoke reports.
Nigerian workers assembled in this hall for what was officially to be the 11th Delegates Conference in the nation's capital. The challenges confronting the nation took center stage. Former President of the Nigeria Labour Congress and Governor of Edo State, Comrade Adams Oshomole, told the gathering that democracy does not accept service chiefs dictating when the nation's election should be conducted.
I was equipped with my PVC. And I know that many of you were equipped with your PVC. And then suddenly, government magic. They do have explanation to make. What did they see then? What do they see now that they didn't see then? What shall we do in 6 weeks that we did not do in 16 months?
In defense, the Minister for Special Duties, Kabiru Turaki, emphasized that the federal government is working hard to end terrorism in the troubled north. Where it appeared, the workers were not convinced.
Let me say it's important for us to appreciate, fellow comrades, that issue of insecurity, solidarity. Even if you hate us as a government, yet what we have done is there, the records are there, and we shall let anybody to tap us up on what this government has done.
The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, General Muhammadu Buhari, seized the opportunity to canvass for support for his election as the next president.
Nigeria needs a group of people who knows what to do about these problems. They must have the competence, the experience, the know-how, the leadership capacity, and most especially the courage to have people forward.
Well, this has been a no-holds-barred conference, even though it started off as a political campaign. And what is clear, though, is that thousands of workers here are demanding more, especially in the areas of job security and minimum wage, from whoever will take over the reins of government after the general elections. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Well, the Imo State government has commissioned new classroom blocks in Ikena-Muziobo local government. The Deputy Governor, Mr. Eze Madumere, who performed the ceremony, also solicited for votes in favor of the All Progressives Congress.
Education, which receives a significant attention from the Imo State government, is still utmost in infrastructural ranking for the state. This 6-block building with a 600 capacity hall located here in Amuzi Obowo local government is another demonstration of that resolve. Before the commissioning proper, let's dispense with some goodwill messages.
Politicians think of the next election, but His Excellency has taught us that any of us who wants to be a great man and a great statesman should think of the next generation. If you look at this legacy here, you will agree with me that this legacy is not looking at the next election, but this legacy is looking at the next generation.
The purpose of government is to bring about development. If we cannot justify development as a government, then we have achieved nothing.
When it was his turn, the most senior member of the executive office had this to say about his boss.
Owele's legacy isn't going away anytime soon. It started with education, healthcare, good roads, bridges, building of cities, electricity, water and other infrastructure facilities. All this will continue to spread until all the needs and crannies of this state is positively impacted.
The occasion also provided an opportunity for some campaigning.
If we want Rochas to Okorocha in the next 4 years to continue the consolidation of factory, we must give him the following. Muhammadu Buhari is a choice that is good for Nigeria.
Part of the promises made here by the Deputy Governor is that more industries will be established in addition to infrastructural development and job creation. Will they be promises kept?
When the news at 10 returns, experts in Washington proffer solution to Nigeria's electricity challenge. Do join us again.